Cd19 Life Coaching with Cycles. The Sacred Council, 19 out of 32. The Guiding Force of Cycles. Cycles, the guiding force of cycles. Tune into the cycles of life. I am the Divan of Cycles, one of the 17 balancing forces of universe and nature, representing the phenomena cycles in everything in Crystallia, the creation. I remind you that in creation everything goes through cycles, and that life in creation depends on them. I am present with every breath and step you take, and you know of me, existing as the cycles and circles within your own mind, as the circle of circulating your blood, feeding every cell of your body, or when you eat, as the cycle of digestion, assimilation and elimination. I am present in your thoughts, body and emotions, all being a part of a big adventure called life, in which everything comes and goes. Quote, each thing is of like form from everlasting, and comes round again in its cycle. Marcus Aurelius. End of quote. You are very much aware of my existence through the 4 seasons of the year. The cycle of the moon, the woman's cycle, the cycle of the 7 days of the week, and the cycles of time. All continuously reoccurring and giving you different feelings and experiences. All of this is free of charge, but oftentimes not appreciated or even acknowledged by you. Quote, what we obtain too cheap, we esteem too lightly. Thomas Paine. End of quote. You all get so easily impatient while going through a particular part of a cycle and want to be already in the next. You complain about certain aspects of the natural cycles of life. You like the summer and do not like autumn and winter. Just be prepared. Have an umbrella and a winter coat. You like when you are able to do that what you want, but do not like when your body gets sick and is in the cleaning cycle. Everything is part of a cycle, and when you go with these natural cycles, everything goes much smoother. Quote, the wise adapt themselves to circumstances, as water molds itself to the pitcher. Chinese proverb. End of quote. You do not want to deal with certain aspects of your life in each cycle, and you do irrational things that interfere with the natural cycles of life and pay a big price for it. Most important is to understand that you do not only pay a price, but that you are missing out of things being part of your life adventure. Quote, never cut a tree down in the wintertime. Never make a negative decisions in low time. Never make your most important decisions when you are in the worst of moods. Wait, be patient. The storm will pass. The spring will come. Robert H. Schuller. End of quote. In this modern age, with science on a high level, man is able to manipulate various natural cycles, but forgetting that there is a price to be paid, affecting the health and well-being of himself and the planet. Quote, if we go on the way we have, the fault is our greed, and if we are not willing to change, we will disappear from the face of the globe, to be replaced by the insect. Jacques-Yves Cousteau. End of quote. Cycles. Knowing me and knowing what to do with me. Let's see how you unnecessarily struggle with my force in various aspects of your life. How you could change your perspective and even make some practical changes. There are endless words that can be connected to any subject, and each subject can have many books because each subject can be approached from various perspectives or angles. Most important is not to forget that all that is said or written is merely an opinion, a truth and not the truth, because the spoken and written word is part of the creative world created in opposites, constantly changing and bound to time, and there is always more that can be said or written about any subject. Regarding me and the Sacred Council members talking about any subject, know that this understanding applies to that information as well. The information is from our particular point of view and brought to you through the world of visionary and mystical fiction. Hopefully, it contributes to your life and assists you to experience life in a more conscious, mystical, and magical way. By hearing or reading this information, you will come to the conclusion that you know this already, and you do, because this is part of your universal and spiritual inheritance. And often, we just need one word or a sentence that inspires and motivates to do things different, or to think about a certain subject from a different perspective. Dealing with your real self, the soul. In regards to spiritual living, are you keeping in mind that there is a beginning and ending to the cycle of your physical existence? The body and mind are bound to the cycles of creation, and the soul, for the moment being, connected to the mind and body, is patiently waiting to be free of both of them in order to return to the realm of immortality. Quote, "In this vast wheel of Brahman, in which all things live and die, the soul is tossed about, so long as it regards the self as separate from the mover. Only when blessed by him does it attain immortality." Upanishads. End of quote. Everything in creation is part of the cycle of birth and death, except for the essence in everything, and this essence is also in you. It is the real you, your soul, which lives forever. Dealing with your mind. In regards to managing and dealing with the mind, know that everything runs in cycles, all continuously reoccurring and giving you different feelings and experiences in your adventure. Most of the time this adventure is not appreciated or even acknowledged. You get so easily impatient while going through a particular part of a cycle and want to be already in the next. You complain about certain aspects of the natural cycles of life. Everything is part of a cycle, and when you go with these natural cycles, everything goes much easier and smoother. Know as well that inside the mind, each thought and reality, which once was to be a one-time experience, is now part of a cycle. Each thought can take you on an adventure that has no beginning and no end, being a circle or wheel in which you trap yourself. This picture is to let you know that the mind itself is part of a cycle and will cease to exist, but it doesn't want to give this up. Just like you do not want to give up things regarding your conditionings and familiar world. Reconnect more and more with the real you and the real world within you, and step out of the ongoing cycles and windmills of your mind and the ever-returning cycles of experiences in life's adventure. Quote, "Man appears for a little while to laugh and weep, to work and play, and then to go make room for those who shall follow him in the never-ending cycle." Aidan Wilson Tozer. End of quote. Dealing with your body. In regards to dealing with your physical body, know that your physical body is subject to the circle of birth and death, and so every cell within your body part of this phenomenon. The body is the garment of your soul, something which never dies, but as long as the soul resides within it, take good care of it, because the body is also a gift from the Creator, although just for a season. Quote, You will die, but the carbon will not. Its career does not end with you. It will return to the soil, and there a plant may take it up again in time, sending it once more on a cycle of a plant and animal life. Jacob Bronowski. End of quote. Just like nature, which has seasons, you will experience many seasons, all bringing you different experiences. Enjoy each season and what it has to offer you, but do not try to do things with your physical body that belong to a season of the past. Dealing with communication. In regards to communication, know that any conversation is subject to the force of cycles. Know that each conversation needs to have an introduction or warming up part, so to speak. Stay connected to the main content of the conversation and stay focused. Know that there is also a cool down phase needed in any conversation in order to calm the energy. Quote, listen and attend with the ear of your heart. Saint Benedict. End of quote. Dealing with food. In regards to dealing with nutrition, tune into eating seasonal foods because they have a special purpose for your body at that particular time of the year. Are consuming foods that were artificially treated in order to speed up their natural growing process good for your body? Or probably not. Are you eating food items that were genetically manipulated? Are you consuming foods that go too fast through your body, such as white sugar, sugar-related items, and highly processed foods? Are you consuming foods that go too slow through your body, such as heavy meals and consuming animal proteins? Are you eating heavy foods in the morning and shocking your body with coffee and black tea? Are you snacking and eating late at night? Do you realize that these and other items interfere with the natural cycles in nature and interfere with the well-being of your body? Go to the local farmer's market and buy seasonal foods and make better choices to assist the health of your body. In general, seasonal foods are there in abundance and less expensive. Did you know that consuming foods goes through a three-part cycle, being digestion, noon to 8 p.m., assimilation, 8 p.m. to 4 a.m., and elimination, 4 a.m. to noon. Eat with the sun energy for a while. Food coming from the trees in the morning, at lunch foods from the soil up to 6 feet above, and in the evening foods that come from below the soil. This tunes into a three-part cycle. Did you know that because you are part of a consumer society, that the lands on which you produce growth is being manipulated and not in tune anymore with its natural cycle? After harvesting the lands in the past, they got some time to rejuvenate. But in your modern life, in which most is mass-produced, the lands do not get this time out, but are artificially stimulated to keep on producing. Quote, the highest form of ignorance is when you reject something you don't know anything about. Wayne Dyer, end of quote. Dealing with staying fit. In regards to fitness, make sure that you are properly warming up your muscles and systems before exercising by means of walking, light jogging, cycling, or flexibility exercises. Also, take the time to properly cool the body down after your workout. Each workout is a cycle of 3 phases: warm up, main workout, and cool down. Are you listening to your body and adjusting your workouts when having plenty of energy available or lacking it? Are you doing different workouts in different seasons of the year? Tune into seasonal, weekday, and hour of the day energy cycles and step away from the robot-like workouts. Learn to feel your body's needs at different times. Quote, "To be prepared is half the victory." Miguel de Cervantes. End of quote. Dealing with your life partner. In regards to your relationship, know that your relationship will pass through many cycles during the time you're being together. With these cycles, there are constantly new beginnings for different things to experience, and other things will have an ending. Each phase has a new beginning, and so be open for them and be careful to hang on to the things you did in the past, for they may be outdated in your new phase. Also be careful to want to be in a phase where you have not arrived yet. There is no need to force things. They come naturally, and you just need to be aware of it. Quote, "Marriage brings one into fatal connection with custom and traditions and customs are like the wind and weather, all together, incalculable." Soren Kierkegaard. End of quote. Dealing with your children. In regards to parenting, stay alert if you're constantly trying to get your child to grow up and taking it out of his childlike phase. Are you tuning into your inner child and enjoying to see your child in the phases of silliness and ignorance, innocence and fantasy and magic? Are you encouraging your children to enjoy the phase they are in and preparing them to enjoy in the future the other phases and stages? Quote, "Though children can accept adults as adults, adults can never accept children as anything but adults do." William Faulkner. End of quote. Are you content in the phase of your life? When not, be careful to pull your child to your world, a world where you even don't want to be. Learn from your children and learn to play again in all aspects of your life. Quote, "We think too much and feel too little." Charlie Chaplin. End of quote. Also observe the seasons more with your children and teach them about other cycles, like the cycle of the sun and the moon, and tuning into them by sleeping at the right time. Do different things in different seasons and learn together how to prepare for them. Dealing with preserving the planet. In regards to taking care of the planet Earth, realize that mankind is manipulating the natural cycles of nature. While visiting Mother Earth, observe and look at nature, which is better than watching a movie. It is an ongoing story. And do not forget, it is your home for the moment, and the home for others still to come and visit it. Quote, "Nature gives to every time and season some beauties of its own, and from morning to night, as from the cradle to the grave, it is but a succession of change so gentle and easy that we can scarcely mark their progress." Charles Dickens. End of quote. Dealing with the teenage years. In regards to the teenage years, the teenager in general doesn't accept at all the stage and phase in the cycle of its life adventure. You want to be already in the future in a different phase of the cycle. Realize that the contentment in your future depends a great deal on how you are going through your teenage years. What you are today is part of your foundation for your future. Quote, "Clear thinking is attained by practice, and it is as well worth cultivating it to help us avoid falling into our own mind traps." Hector Espondo Dubbin. End of quote. Dealing with getting older. In regards to dealing with getting older, are you still trying to do too many things that do not belong in this stage of your life anymore? You ending up with physical pain or frustration. Enjoy the activities that belong to your age and cycle in your own life. Quote, "Life is a frail moth flying caught in the web of the years that pass." Sarah Teasdale. End of quote. Dealing with stress. In regards to dealing with stress, ask yourself, is the resisting and sleeping stage in your daily cycle sufficient, or are you staying up too long? Are you eating late at night when your body is not in gear to digest anymore? Are you racing against time and doing this all year round? There is a price we pay by going against the natural cycles of nature. Quote, "They that mistake life accessories for life itself are like them that go fast in a maze. Their very haste confuses them." Seneca. End of quote. Dealing with weight. In regards to dealing with weight, are you having the patience to go through the next phase of your cleaning cycle? Realize that when you are not accepting the phase before and not accepting the phase you are now in, that it is a trick of your mind that makes you believe that you will be content in the future. Losing weight is about cleaning and letting go of many things and in all aspects of your life. Just enjoy and adventure the cycles of cleaning. Quote, "One man, scorned and covered with scars, still strove with his last ounce of courage to reach the unreachable stars, and the world will be better for this." Miguel de Cervantes. End of quote. Dealing with disease. In regards to dealing with disease, are you taking medication to suppress the natural functioning cycles of the body? Are you giving enough time to rest and rejuvenate? For this part of the cycle in your self-healing is very important. Why being so eager to get back to the life that caused you to become sick? Tune in this cleansing cycle of your life and start thinking of a new beginning and a new cycle of life. Quote, "The world of achievement has always belonged to the optimist." Harold Wilson. Dealing with emotions. In regards to dealing with emotions, are you still thinking that you can overcome certain unwanted emotions? Realize that each emotion has its seat on the wheel or cycle of emotions, like the stars and planets around the planet Earth, constantly returning in your life. It is not about deporting any emotion, but seeing how you're doing while experiencing the emotion, and definitely learning not to connect them to people, places, and events. For by doing so, we create additional wheels and cycles, far more complicated to deal with. Most of your negative emotions are connected to the past, events, places, and faces, and you need to let go of them in order to experience life differently. Quote, "Without forgiveness, life is governed by an endless cycle of resentment and retaliation." Roberto Asingoriolo. End of quote. Dealing with business. In regards to dealing with your professional life, are you doing business like mankind does business with the soil that constantly needs to produce food, is artificially stimulated, and doesn't get proper rest anymore? Is there still a seasonal connected plan in your business? Mankind thinks he is so smart in doing business, but doesn't realize the price he is paying by going against the natural cycles of life. Quote, "Reasonable people adapt themselves to the world. Unreasonable people attempt to adapt the world to themselves. All progress, therefore, depends on unreasonable people." George Bernard Shaw. End of quote. Dealing with destructive habits. In regards to dealing with destructive habits and addictions, tune in to the natural cycles of life and let life carry you. It does a much better job than any of you can do. Just step out of your destructive cycle and don't be impatient, for the cycle runs its own course. Rebuilding your life and creating a different foundation will require some time and, of course, effort. But don't be impatient, waiting to be already in the next phase of your life. It will come sooner than you think. Build your life on a solid foundation, which is building it upon a foundation that will last forever, and which indicates a spiritual foundation. Quote, "Unless commitment is made, there are only promises and hopes, but no plans." Peter F. Drucker. End of quote. Dealing with studying. In regards to studying, are you appreciating and enjoying the phase in your life, the cycle that which gives you the opportunity to study? Don't be impatiently waiting to be already in the next phase of your life. It will come sooner than you think. Quote, "Patience and perseverance have a magical effect, before which difficulties disappear and obstacles vanish." John Quincy Adams. End of quote. Studying itself is subject to the force of cycles. Slowly get yourself to sit for studying and get everything together that you need. That is the warming up part, so to speak. The main part of the cycle is the repeat and going over what you have already studied, and the second part is getting to do something new, Know as well that there is a cool down phase needed in order to calm your energy, which could be the summary. Dealing with friendships. In regards to friendships, know that each worldly friendship is part of a cycle which has a beginning and an end. Most friends are in your life because you are experiencing a similar cycle or phase within that cycle, and for this reason you might have different kinds of friends at the same time, and you see friends coming into your life and leaving again. Quote, "Life, a cycle, a series of events, meetings, and departures. Friends discovered, others lost. Precious time wastes away. Big droplet tears are shed for yesterday, but are dried in time for tomorrow, until all that remain are foggy, broken memories of a happy yesterday." Daniela Gallo. End of quote. Summary. Cycles. Cycles, the guiding force of cycles. Everything in creation is part of an ongoing cycle. Whatever goes around comes back around. I am cycles, representing the force of cycles and reminding you that in creation, everything from the smallest to the biggest creation is part of a cycle. I assist you in living with these cycles, how you can prepare yourself, how you can go with them, how not to interfere with them, how to enjoy them, and also warning you about the consequences of manipulating them, affecting your health and the well-being of your planet. Summary. Everything in creation is part of a cycle and going through them. There is a season for everything. You either go with the natural cycles of life or resist and manipulate them and paying a big price for it, if you are aware of it or not. You either tune in to the natural cycles and prepare yourself and adapt to the phases they have to offer. Tune in to the natural cycles of every aspect of your life. In order to stay aware that everything is part of a cycle, prepare yourself for the day of how you're going to approach life, others, and situations. And at the end of the day, write down your changes, how you handled things differently, by having been exposed to the information about cycles. Affirmation. Everything in creation is bound to cycles, and thus going through them. Out of respect for nature and for my own well-being, I accept and tune into the natural cycles of life's adventure. Petrus.